Awesome. So you guys just got through that amazing content with Elton John. You understand the power of mixing sex with love to take control and really master sex transmutation. Absolutely crush this mystery that so few people get, which is awesome. Today we're going to go over the most powerful memories, powerful emotions, and how you can value the relationships you have throughout time as an insanely great tool to leverage your output, leverage your growth, and have tremendous mastery of success in your industry, in your market, in your work. It's whatever you do, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you need to get to those overarching long-term goals. This is the path. Sound great? Sound awesome? Let's go over to the computer. Let's make it happen. Okay, so here's the deal. The road to genius consists of just a couple of key things. Number one, development, right? Courses like this, content like this, you're growing yourself. For the purposes of sex transmutation, you need to have control and obviously use of sex. Very powerful stuff. It's the basis of this emotional response, right? If you want to get the goods, you gotta do the deeds. Just the straight facts. But then we add love and romance, right? We talked about these earlier and how they're like these top three things: sex, love, and romance. Love and romance, very closely interconnected. It's just this basis of connection emotionally, right? Mentally, on top of that physical connection. To create judgment and fairness, justice. To combine all of these and have a peak state of being. So powerful. So let's break it down just a little bit more in purple. I'm going to encourage the presence of these emotions. Everything here is a great thing. Everything here is awesome. Okay? The mind is a creature of habit. So the best way, we talked about this earlier, is to keep these thoughts fed through the power of habit, through the faculty of willpower, which is developed through habit, right? We talked about this through The Power of Habit. Amazing book. I'm sure a lot of you guys got that. A very powerful book. The secret of control comes from, and here's the power part. Like, control is what you focus on, right? Control comes from persistence, like we talked about in the chapter on persistence. And I'll link the book review below because it's super powerful. The Power of Habit. Please check out that book review. Snag this thing. It's insanely powerful. The basis of control, basis of growth for everything here. Once you have this, you can figure out the secret of control lies in understanding the process of transmutation. You can facilitate, right? This is facilitating sexual transmutation. When any negative emotion presents itself in your mind, it can be transmuted into a positive emotion. Same idea. Using the energy you have, turn the bad things into great. Positivity. Again, one of the basic factors of increasing your state, increasing your vibrations, increasing your emotions. Gotta focus on this happiness. Can't worry about the negatives. And the best way to be able to take something that would originally suck and turn it into a positive is to increase your state. I'll give you guys a great example. I was at this airport and I was going right after finals and trying to come home after school, and you know, it's like the original flight to Charlotte was at like 7:45, and I was at like 5 because I was like the coolest guy in the world and I was super fast. And I get there at 5 and there's a plane that leaves at like 5:15 or something. And I'm at the gate and I'm like, hey, can I like go on this flight? And they were like, nope. And I was like, dude, that sucks, why not? And they're like, your ticket sucks, so you can't come on here. And I'm like, are there any empty seats? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, can I go on it? And he's like, nope. And obviously, this is a little bit more in depth than that. I'm kind of glancing over because I don't want to focus on negatives. You never want to focus on negatives. But basically, there were empty seats on that plane, and they just kind of like wouldn't let me go, which sucks. So I had to wait an extra like 2.5 hours, 2 or 3 hours. It was about 3 hours once they finally freaking took off, which is, you know, whatever, right? Which is awesome, right? You get to go home and it's great. But with this extra time that I was granted, that I was gifted by this guy who wouldn't let me get on the plane, what did I do? I got to read Tony Robbins. I got to read the most powerful book that fundamentally shifted how I looked at long-term wealth accumulation, especially nearing retirement age, but even in just volatile markets, through the power of like fixed index annuities, the power of these agreements, these notes where you get 90% of the upside when the market goes up and none of the downside. Very, very powerful content. A lot of those insanely valuable like financial tools that are probably going to be worth, you know, multiple 6, 7, 8 figures to me long term, more and more. I mean, like those are some very powerful financial tools. Because I was reading Money Master the Game, in the airport. And so please, I'll leave the book review for that below. It's insane, so powerful. Some of the most amazing stuff I had no clue about for creating insane levels of marketplace success and returns without risking any of the downside. Like, it was so powerful. It was like, this is how like top 0.001% invest. So cool, so cool. A lot of it I covered in 9 to noon in the diversification sections and then just general financial fundamentals. But there were just a couple of nuggets in there that, holy crap, they are amazing. So I might talk more about those in the general membership area. But just like, check out the book review below. Freaking grab yourself a copy. That book's insane. I wouldn't have been sitting there for an extra 3 hours reading it, staying up way past bedtime, right? Bedtime's 8 o'clock. I was super cranky. It was like midnight when I got home. I wouldn't have been out there all night. I wouldn't have gotten that reading in if it wasn't for me not being allowed to go on this original flight. No way it would have happened. So you turn it into a positive. You turn it into happiness. You turn negatives into positives. Does that make sense? It's a simple procedure. Change your thoughts, change your state, change your life. So powerful. All right, cool. So, there is no other road to genius than through voluntary self-effort. Like, you can't force people to do things. I can't force you to sit here and watch this. You know, I'm not in your house like telling you or paying you to watch this video, right? In the long term, you can't influence people to change themselves for money. It's just not going to happen. People have to be there. They have to be themselves. And the basis of long-term growth, the basis of development is voluntary self-effort. Like, in the short term, sure, if I pay you like $100 an hour, however much you're willing to rent your time out for, which is your most valuable asset. To do a job that you hate, you probably do it for a while, but you probably won't stick with it, right? Like, I hated working at Subway. After a couple months after I started to stop learning about people, like, it's tough work, you know, and you get through it and you make it happen. But it's definitely not something I would want to do for the rest of my life. Like, it's just, especially when you're on your own, like, it's a lot of crap. You know, and you're trading your energy, you're trading your body for money. And that's not the state you want to be in. You want to be in a state where you're trading your speech, you're trading your value, creating impact, using your mind to think and grow rich. That's where you want to be. That's the power of increasing your vibrations to get to your peak state. Make sense? Sound cool? So with voluntary self-effort, it's got to be an internal drive. I have so many of my friends, and I've literally given them copies of 9 to Noon. I know that book would change their lives. And they don't even read like the first chapter. I can't force them to read a book. An audiobook would probably help them, but I can't force it. People have to be driven. You being here shows that you are driven. That's powerful. That's awesome. That's great. Understand, when you're working with a team, when you're working with partners, when you're trying to group up, you can't force people. Can't force people. You gotta let them do it on their own pace. You gotta let them grow themselves. People may attain great heights of financial or business achievement solely by the driving force of sex energy, right? Energy, increase your state, increase your drive, increase your motivation, increase your success. But history is filled with evidence that they may, and usually do, carry with them certain character traits which rob them of the ability to either hold or enjoy good fortune, right? Losers lack personal development. This is why with so many positions in sales and just general marketing spaces, I used to be involved with like some of these MLM, like marketing things, online business, especially when I was learning about how to market the book and like learning about online advertising, stuff like that. There's a ton of crap I got involved with just for education purposes, where you would start working at the company and in order to train you to sell their stuff, they would actually give you personal development materials and content to go through. And that was actually how I figured out about the Millionaire Mind book, because I was working, I was getting into this one company where they like sell crap, and then they were like, you have to go buy and read this book. And I was like, what? They were like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I go and I get the Millionaire Mind, and it fundamentally shifted like everything I thought about money, which was insane, so crazy. And then it's led to the intensives. I mean, everything's so powerful, so great. And what did I do from that? Well, what I did was I took this and I was able to apply it to my entire life. It changed my viewpoint on money. And that's when I realized that these guys were creating successful salespeople that would create income for them, not by creating losers, but by creating winners who devour personal development content. That's the power. That's the growth. Because I got to make bank to get past this PDT rule. So, with that said, knowledge which may help the people. Ignorance, So ignorance costs people the privilege of happiness, even though they possess riches. If you don't have this personal development and this happiness in your life and this sexual transmutation, you can be uber successful, but still super sad, and that sucks. It's all based on this idea. The emotions of love and sex leave unmistakable marks upon those with them. And that these signs are so visible that anyone can read them because they're driven by a storm of passion based upon sex desires alone, which are plainly adverse. The fact that the entire world, but the expression in their eyes and the lines in their faces. You can look at this face and know exactly what's going on. You can see, people that are highly sexed. It shows through energy. And energy creates its physical equivalent. And I'm so sorry about the drawing. Oh man, it's really, I tried, man. Equivalent. Okay, cool. And then they mix love and sex to soften, modify, beautify the facial expression. Because no character analyst is needed. You just observe it for yourself. Emotion and love, it brings out, develops the artistic, aesthetic nature of a person. And it impresses upon one's very soul, even after the fire has been subdued by time and circumstance. That's power. This is everlasting impact and growth. Alright? Get this. Memories of love never pass. You have this internal state, internal mind. You can remember this love and energy. It's going to stay there, right? They linger and they guide and influence us long after the source of the stimulation has faded, right? Move away from a girlfriend, or if you're a woman, boyfriend, it still stay there, right? It's nothing to do with this. Every person who's been moved by genuine love knows that it'll leave enduring traces and enduring energy in the mind, even as you're separated, right? In the heart. The effect of love endures Because love is spiritual in nature. Bam, spiritual. Things that affect the spirit. They live. They live and they live. You can be stimulated to great heights of achievement and mass success. Because it's spiritual, it'll stick with you. Even the memories of love are sufficient to lift one to a higher plane of effort and creative output. So even if you've, temporarily moved away from an output for your sexual energy, just these memories alone can lead to increased output, increased success. So remember, this is the insane power of sexual transmutation. See, just the memories have an impact. The power of it, a strong relationship is so much greater. It's insane. The major force of love may spend itself and pass away like a fire that has burned itself out, but it leaves behind indelible marks as evidence that it passed that way. The departure often prepares the human heart for a still greater love, right? It's all about this growth journey where you might have a temporary setback, but in the long term, you're going up. You find that new love, you find that new success. You keep going until you find the one that's perfect. That's when you freaking crush it. Because you have that total alignment of sexual energy plus long-term goals. And that's the power of the secret formula. And that's how sexual transmutation drastically multiplies the impact of it. Make sense? Sound freaking awesome? If you look at the past and you bathe your mind with the beautiful memories of love, it'll soften the influence of the present, and worries, annoyances, they'll fade away. Remember, love increases vibrations. Increased vibrations goes to clarity, goes to focus. Overarching life willpower and the ability to focus and go exactly towards what matters. It'll give you a source of escape from the unpleasant realities of life. Your mind can yield to you. You're in this temporary retreat into the world of fantasy. Ideas or plans which may change the entire financial or spiritual status of your life. Did you guys hear that? Do you guys understand that? It's this idea that when you fill up your mind with this energy and you draw upon it, it will yield you with fundamentally unknown, subconscious, and otherwise mystical ideas that can alter your life. Because this subconscious is the same mind that wants you to get to that overarching long-term goal. And it'll find the answer for you when you feed it the energy needed to produce the results you desire. So powerful. This is why you have a reflection day. This is why you have a daily journal. This is why you have gratitude. It's all based on this internal ability to fundamentally change your life and absolutely freaking crush it. Okay? Does that make sense? That sound awesome? Cool. Boop it out of there. Alright, sweet. So, got that down. If you believe you're unfortunate because you have loved and lost, perish the thought. One who has loved truly can never lose entirely. It's just not possible. It doesn't freaking matter. There's still this memory, right? Love is whimsical and temperamental. Its nature is ephemeral and transitory. It comes when it pleases and it goes away without warning. Accept it and enjoy it while it remains, but spend no time worrying about its departure. Worry will never bring it back. You gotta let go. You gotta move on. You gotta keep growing. Number one principle, right? There's always someone else, always something out there. So you just can't focus on the negativity. Keep growing, keep succeeding. Dismiss the thought that love never comes but once. It's BS. There are billions of people on this planet. Love may come and go without number, But there are no two love experiences that affect you in just the same way. There may be, and there usually is, one love experience that leaves a deeper imprint on the heart than all others. But all love experiences are fundamentally beneficial. Except to the person who becomes resentful and cynical when love makes its departure. So please, please, please focus on happiness, focus on gratitude, focus on growth, and understand this stuff goes away. You just can't freaking worry about it. You gotta move on, you gotta keep growing, you gotta go out there and freaking crush it. Focus on that overarching long-term goal, and it's just gonna freaking work out. You're gonna keep finding new people. It's not a huge deal. It's about staying centered. It's about staying with your purpose, and that's the power of the secret formula. Is it'll fundamentally attract love. It'll attract new people because you're working towards your journey. As you're working and you're freaking climbing up this mountain, you're gonna find people along the way that, you know, they join you, and those people might join you here, but then they come off when you're up here, you know, but then you find somebody else up here. So it's just about growing and growing until you find the right place, find the right love, because everything's beneficial. Everything will keep you going. No disappointment over love. And there would be none if people understood the difference between love and sex. Major difference. Love is spiritual, sex is biological. No experience that touches the human heart with spiritual force, which is love, could possibly be harmful if you have, unless you have jealousy. So just don't have jealousy. Okay, cool. Love is without question life's greatest experience. It brings us into communion with the infinite intelligence when mixed with the emotions of romance and sex. It can lead us so far up the ladder of creative effort. Emotions of love, sex, and romance are sides of the eternal triangle of achievement, building, genius. It all comes. Love, sex, romance. And they're working towards this overarching long-term goal. That's the power. That's the growth. And then Hill talks more about how the love you feel for your sweetheart is different than your parents or your kids because it has sex. So, yeah, that's the difference. And that's why it's called sex transmutation, not love transmutation. But love is how you control, the emotions, right? And don't go freaking ridiculously crazy with it, or it'll, be a detriment, just like anything in too much. Which is cool, When the emotion of romance is added to those of love and sex, the obstructions between the finite mind of man and the infinite intelligence are removed. You are in direct connection with the subconscious. You're in direct connection because you've properly balanced the proportions of sex, love, romance. You can be happy and endure. You'll bring total joy in your marriage only when you align all three of these, because love alone isn't going to do it. Sex alone isn't going to do it. Elton John, he had love, he had romance, didn't have sex. Freaking failure. People that have sex, but they don't have love, marriage falls apart. No romance, falls apart. You got to blend together to get to this state of mind closest to the spiritual one ever known on this planet. A genius is born with love and sex. Bam! So powerful. So please get this, guys. It's just not a lot to write here. It's all mental. It's all growth. And if you can overcome this and crush it, you can use, sculpt your mind, sculpt your growth, sculpt your future. Become an amazingly powerful person. Take harmony out of chaos. Remove any sense of negativity. The disharmony is often expressed through nagging, can usually be traced to a lack of knowledge on the subject of sex, where love, romance, and proper understanding of the emotion and function of sex abide. There's no disharmony between married people because there's this total unification, right? total unification between these two. And they know the power of sexual transmutation. Sex transmutation. Going towards this goal. Going towards this growth. Once you have that, all of a sudden problems fade away. Everyone's happy. Everyone's growing. And this stuff back here is just totally ignored. Because you understand at a fundamental level the exact reason, the exact background of why you're doing what you're doing, and the power and the connection with the subconscious that you're creating by increasing that energy state, increasing the growth, and having peak performance of your life. Hope you guys have found a ridiculous amount of value in this chapter and in these modules. This is one of the huge principles that's going to allow you to take your secret formula and just freaking blow it up like a nuke. So powerful. Do this exercise. Go through what we've talked about. Because if you look at anyone that's had massive success in their life, it all stems from woman and love and sex. And it's all through the power of raising those vibrations through sexual transmutation. That's why we look at manifestation magic. That's why we look at reflection days. That's why we look at daily journals. It's all based on this core concept of increasing your vibrations. And sex transmutation is the most powerful way to do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have an amazing day. Go out there, crush it. I'll see you in the next module. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.